Hey, welcome to the Relentless Positivity Podcast. Your host Joe Martin. My guest today, his name's John Kimble, and he's a little life from handcuffs to fisticuffs. He's had from psych wars to personal training, and he's gone from suicide attempts on himself to helping other people find their purpose and value in life. And man, he's just doing some awesome work out in the world. I want you guys to meet today. John, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Hey, what's up, man? Appreciate you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, man. So let's take it back. Where'd you grow up, and what was your childhood like?
Yeah, bro. I grew up in Simsport, Louisiana, in America. I'm actually adopted, so my descendants is Cuban, but I'm from America, born in Louisiana. And, like I said, I was born and raised in a Christian-based home and everything. But the crazy thing is, I started hanging around the wrong people. And that's always what I say all the time, right? Is whoever you hang around, ultimately, that's who you're going to end up like. Your vibe attracts your tribe. So it was actually the I always say this all the time. He was the biggest known drug dealer in the city. I was hanging out with his little brother, and I just went down. I just got influenced by that activity, and I just wanted to make him proud, because I was like, oh shit, that life is kind of tough. And then it just got influenced, and then that's when we started to get into like a bunch of gang fights and stuff like that.
Man, it's so common. You get caught up in that world that you're a pretty
Yeah,
good kid, but if you're hanging around with people that aren't, that's going to become your future right there. So you nailed it right there, man. I like that. Your vibe attracts your tribe for sure, man. So you're going kind of got down this rough path, and you get diagnosed as a sociopath. It's not something you consider yourself. It's someone that the court system kind of considers you a sociopath. And if you don't know the definition out there, for you guys listening, it's kind of someone that they had a personality disorder that's kind of extreme antisocial attitudes and behavior and kind of a lack of conscience. So you get diagnosed with that. And how did that feel, man? When you kind of people like that's how people see you.
no, exactly. Yeah, the lack of conscience and the criminal background, especially too. I mean, because I had gotten, going down that path, following down them, right? Started drug dealing and taking drugs and all that shit like that. So I got arrested for like possession of a deadly weapon, possession of stolen goods, possession of illegal drugs, fleeing from police, and breaking and entering. And I mean, ultimately, that really was like the prerequisite into my future successes because it's like the law of polarity, right? You can't experience the highest of highs until you've actually went through the lowest of lows. But yeah, and then I went into the psych ward because I started having the suicidal thoughts and tendencies because of all the criminal shit I was doing and all the regret I was having from that. And if you're never working towards yourself, forward progressing towards the future, and if you're always past regressing from negative regret towards the past, then you're gonna end up doing some shit like that because you're not confident in yourself. You hate yourself because of all what you've done, and you see all the pain you cause to everyone else. And yeah, like you said, the lack of conscience from being a sociopath or diagnosed as one. I mean, I never see my dad ever cry, right? I mean, I would tell my parents, like, I don't care about their feelings. I would tell them that in their face. We have an awesome connection now, of course. They come to the gym with me and stuff. But back then, when I was doing all that stuff, I would always tell them, like, oh, yeah, I don't care about you guys' feelings and all that shit like that. Like the lack of conscience that they supposedly say that we have as whatever we're diagnosed as. And it was just at that time being that I was participating in the actions that was eventually equaled out to being diagnosed as a sociopath. Just like as of right now, I'm participating in everything that forward projects me towards the person and the best version of myself I want to become. So they might as well just diagnose me as that because that's what my habits are congruent as. But yeah, man, I was in the psych ward, right, or in the mental hospital, whatever you want to call it, and they wanted to send me to rehab. They wanted to put me on meds, to give me a therapist, and all of this shit. But really, the main thing I did to change all of that was look in that accountability mirror. And because I even told him, I was like, they were pressuring my parents and everything. And I was like, I don't need that shit, right? Only thing I need to do is be truly accountable for my actions and really seek deep within my problem, run into it instead of running away from it through like fucking procrastination and these desires and desires and vices. Like I actually ran into the problem, unlike most people do nowadays, instead of running away from it towards instant gratification. And that's what really helped me out. That's why I always preach fitness, because if you do some burpees right before you're desiring something, that desire will go away quick. And that's what I did. I woke up after the couch, after a hangover, on the couch after a hangover, and I went run, and my self-talk was aligned, and that's what changed me.
Man, you do some burpees, that desire, your oxygen, everything's gone, right? Man, you got nothing but
Exactly, yeah.
when you're like that, man, that's all you can focus on, just trying to recover from that. So man, if you can just get out of your mind for a second and get into your body, man, it's so helpful sometimes, especially with people. I've had struggles as well, man, with some mental health stuff, and you can just kind of get away from those thoughts for a second, just go into that body. At least for that time, you get a little bit of reprieve. So someone, if you're listening right now and you're struggling with
Like,
that,
dude,
just give it a try, man. You got to. And I like what you talked about that. Hey, I can talk about one thing, but what my action is doing, that's who I actually am. So it doesn't matter what people are saying. What my actions are, that's who I am. So I like how that's one would bring it up that people diagnose you as a sociopath. Now, may you spend your life helping people better their lives. That's just amazing for anyone listening right now that, hey, it's not too late. I mean, he went on 180, opposite direction, jail, suicide, all those things. Look at him now, man. So it's kind of, let's get into that. So you talked about fitness kind of turning you around. How did you get into fitness? Is that just where it started?
yeah, well, it was always boxing. Boxing always did because I had anger issues and everything. I mean, I would have so bad anger issues, dude. I would be in like I don't know, just as a younger kid, like way younger kid. I would get in fights and I would literally like kick, like they'd be on the ground. I just kept repeatedly kicking them until like something happened. So it was always just bad anger issues. So I got put into boxing, and that's where the fitness really started, and that's where my life really pivoted as well. Because when I woke up off of the couch, I was like, "Oh, I have a greater purpose." And even though it was boxing, something simple like that, it still put me and forward project me into something greater than what I was right then at that moment. It had me something put towards something else to work on. So if everybody just like actually really saw it deep within and try to fix themselves through fitness and nutrition, then ultimately all the vices would go away because they're focusing on a way greater purpose rather than going back to the vices and something that actually deters them from where they're supposed to be.
So take me back to that first boxing match, man. How did that go?
Oh yeah, dude. No, I was I was hype, and then I was actually too hype, and I got nervous and everything. I had like two panic attacks before then, and the nurse was even like, "Oh, we're gonna watch you. Like if you show any signs of fatigue, we're gonna stop the fight." And dude, it's a fucking boxing match. Fatigue. That's like the first. You're gonna be like that in the first round. So yeah, she told me that, and then I had to run outside, and I was like aspirating. I was hyperventilating, dude. I was like crying, all of this shit, and then I just started talking to myself. I turned that, like they say, like Mike Tyson's quote, I turned that fear into fire, and that actually really helped. I mean, I was just my self talk was like so aligned with like just just intense fucking feelings and intentions because I just switched that like negative passive, like, oh, I don't want to do this shit, I'm going home, into like my self-talk. I just switched it completely around, and I convinced myself and forced myself to go back in there, and I stepped into the ring, and I was so hyped. My coach was like, oh, he's gonna come with that fire, and I told him, I was like, whoa, I'm gonna fight fire with fire. And then it ended in 9 seconds. I knocked him out in 9 seconds because like when you're going down that path of like anxiety or depression or something, even that, taking that as an example, I just talked to myself in a way different way, and I was like, oh, I don't want to feel this way, so let me talk to myself like how I want to feel. And I was like, no, you're gonna kill this motherfucker, I don't feel it, and then that's what happened.
You're right. Managing like that emotions and adrenaline is so big a big part of a fighting deal. I mean, that's not on the same day, but I've done some jujitsu tournaments, and the first one I did, man, within 30 seconds, I was completely gassed. My first match ever, man. Managed to survive somehow, but man, you think you're in great shape. You're coming in, you're doing all this training, but man, you get so hyped and you came in. I was completely gassed. Pretty good shape, but 30 seconds, I was done, man. If you don't know how to manage that, so I'm glad it had a great outcome for you. So, and that self talk, how you talk to yourself is so important. I know there's people right now that have those negative voices in their head that everything looks dark right now. What would you say to them, man? They're just going through a tough time right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's just self-sabotaging, and especially now since the holidays, a lot of people are going through that as well. But really, like I say all the time, it's like the idle mind is a devil's playground. So if you stay bored and you stay procrastinating and idle, of course you're going to turn to negative vices and desires and stuff like that, right? But if you stay busy and if you stay, like I said, forward progressing towards something greater, like bettering yourself, then you'll never actually pass regress or have any of those desires to go down that path. And I mean, it's a lot of shit people do when they're bored and uncontipped and all that stuff, especially like I said, during the holidays when they're missing family members and all this, their mind's idle and then this stuff. So if they really focus on something like fitness and nutrition and really forward projected into that, then it would be just the amount of clarity would be exponential,
Absolutely.
because they're actually working deeper into themselves.
We don't want to be going towards a goal. We're just wired that way as humans. So take us through kind of an average day for you, so just so people know that you ain't sitting around all day.
No, 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 because I can't fucking sit around all day, dude. Oh my gosh, my mind will go crazy. Like these past days, I was like yesterday, I sat down for like I passed out, fell asleep, and I woke up. And every time when I'm interrupted from my system or process, it just man, it messes with my mind so much. But yeah, I get up and I get up at 2:40, and then I get up and I do like my internal dialogue and my reflection. And I really regret, I really seek deep and regret on what happened the day before. And then because this is the thing, right? When people, instead of thinking of what and all who you should be, like think of all what you shouldn't, right? Like think of what you regretted the day before, and then try your best to not be that. So yeah, I just get up at 2:40, I do my workout, and that's when I do my self-reflection on what I regret, and I picture that person that I should be, remembering everything I shouldn't. And I go to, well, I'm still a senior in high school, right? So, I mean, I go to school, and then I'll go to work, and then I'll come home and just work on my phone till I just pass out, like fall asleep. It could be like 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock, it's whenever. But that's just the normal daily process. Like, I can't go a second. I don't watch movies, dude. I don't do any of this shit because I cannot do something that is not strictly aligned with my purpose, because my conscience will eat me alive if I try to do that. Like any hobbies or anything pleasurable, the only thing I do is I stay doing that. I stay in the DMs and everything on my phone.
Yeah, so you're helping people online get in shape, kind of get rid of those vices. Tell us a little more about your program that you offer.
Right, my program. I mean, it saved my life, right? It rid me of all my vices and addictions. So I have to teach that and preach that and push that message as much as I can to help others do the same with themselves, because I mean, that's what worked for me. So it'll work for them too. But yeah, it's just a mental, physical, it's a mind, body, soul thing. It's like I have a training, nutrition program and a mindset program. And that's like the mid-level program. It's like $10 a day. It's like 300 a month. And then there's the like elite life program, and that one is where we really seek deep within the vices and addictions you have. And that one's like 1,500 a month, 4,000 for 3 months. Because I mean, once you know your worth, and if you've been through some shit and you know how to help others with that and help them realign them on the path, exactly the one that you realign yourself with, then of course you're gonna like charge something like that, because it's just that's too low of a price, if I would say, because it's what saved my life. I use it every single day still to this day to realign myself with the best version of me anytime I'm desiring anything or going down that negative path, because we always seem to do this. We create like imaginary evils in our mind, like things that may never come or things that came before. But ultimately, when we realign ourselves with a program or a system like I do, then it all goes away and it rids of all of that stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, what's completely changing your life worth? Look at it that way. That's
Yeah.
you can't put a price on that. And if someone has a system you can follow, man, that's so valuable. You don't have to think about it. Just put your head down, go to work, get the results, man. So
Yeah.
people are sounding like, hey, that sounds like what I need. Man. What's the best place for them to follow you?
It's Kimble_fit on Instagram, and my website is just kimblefit.com.
Awesome, man. Hey, if you're listening right now, please go check that out. I'm gonna link that in show notes. If you're like me, you don't spell very well. I know it's pretty simple spelling he's giving you there, but man, I'll put that in the link and just click on the link. John, man, appreciate what you're doing out there and sharing your story. A lot of people, they go through dark times, they keep it inside, but you're sharing that and helping other people do the same, get through what you went through. That was rough, man. You're a 180, man. You're doing a good service to the world with crap you went through, man. So thank you.
Of course, yes, it's a prerequisite, dude. All of that shit that happened, and like my parents could have done the most, like they could have done anything in their power, but it's the universe or God or whoever you believe in that puts us down that path and of that hero's journey. And it's really everything, all of that. It's just the cornerstone to our successes in the future. Like we have to go through that in order to really succeed, and it'll be paramount. Compared to what it would be if we didn't go through anything like that.
Absolutely, man. That's absolutely true. And I've seen that in my life as well. So, hey, thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. Please spread this message. Go check out John on social media. I'll link his website as well. You can check both those out. Keep following him. Keep up the cool stuff he's doing there. Hey, John, keep up the great work, man. I'm going to follow you and keep up with what you're doing as well.
I appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. See you next week on the Relentless Positivity Podcast.